Striker Scorpion 82 is now sponsored by Warhammer Combat Cards, a card battle game featuring your favourite Citadel miniatures from the 40k universe. Build your army decks, dominate opponents in player versus player action, collect and upgrade cards to fit your strategy, improve their power and unlock unique traits. Choose from all 40k factions, take part in campaigns based on iconic 40k battles, rise to the top of the leaderboard and win glory. Free to download and play, link is in the video description below or on the channel homepage, and by using the unique link it helps support the channel. Thanks and enjoy the game. Right, welcome to this complete army video. It's for my Thousand Sons army, so I've fully updated it for chapter approved 2019. So this is the updated list, not too much of a departure away from the previous list. It's been improved, I think. There's some points been saved, been able to expand the number of units in the army. It's given me an opportunity to restructure the whole army as well, to get some more command points, explain all of that as we go through the list, and then also we'll cover some of the rules as well that I've adopted from the Ritual of the Damned Psychic Awakening book. So there's these cults that you can choose now for the Thousand Sons just to grant some extra powers. So that's something that we'll cover here in this video as well. So these complete army videos is a chance for you to focus in on a specific faction and understand the whole structure of the lists that I put together. So we're focusing on the Thousand Sons. We talk about the whole style of the army, the tactica behind it, the reason for all of the choices that I've made. So it gives you an idea of tactics and strategy as well, why units have been chosen and in what combinations, and the overall battle plan as well. So it's a chance to explain all of that here in this video, and then you can watch that being applied in the battle reports as they come up. So the Thousand Sons, that was a secret project, the first secret project done over on the Plus channel. Then once that project was completed, Thousand Sons then arrived on YouTube. Do have a second secret army on the way at the moment. If you want to check out what that is and to see the progress being made with that, then check out the Plus channel. Over on the Plus channel, as I was working on the Thousand Sons, I produced a number of painting tutorials for them, a regular painting tutorial and an in-depth painting tutorial as well. So if you like the look of the Thousand Sons that you see here, I pretty much use the exact same technique for all of the units, whether it's vehicles or infantry or HQ choices. And so if you want to copy that painting style and get all the techniques and follow that process along, then check out the Plus channel. That's got all of the painting tutorials available on that. If you want to subscribe to the whole of the Plus channel, then those individual painting tutorials are available for rent or purchase at a very small rate, and that means if you just want the painting tutorials, you can get a hold of those. So for that, you just go on the Plus channel, look for secret project number 1, or go to the painting tutorial section and then find the relevant video for the Thousand Sons, and then you can rent or purchase the video from there if you want that resource. So Thousand Sons, quite a tricky army to paint. It did take a while, especially units like the Rubric Marines and so on. There's a lot of ornate and intricate armour on those, so bear that in mind if you're going to start collecting. I have already produced, if you go back just about a year or so, I produced here on the channel a start collecting video for the Thousand Sons. Check that out, that'll give you the whole lowdown on what it is to collect the Thousand Sons, just some hints and tips, and a chance to zoom in and take a closer look at a lot of the models as well. So then, Thousand Sons Chaos Space Marines, I chose these because the models are incredible, beautiful models that Games Workshop have, and unique models that are specific to the Thousand Sons, which I liked the idea of that. I didn't want to paint an army that was too much like a Space Marine army. I wanted something that was a Chaos Legion, but had its very strong sort of style, and not just sort of Space Marine tanks with spikes put on top of them. I wanted something that was very different. So that's what the Thousand Sons offer for sure. And then tactics wise, I wanted to do something different as well. This army has a very strong theme and a very specific kind of game plan, which so far seems to have worked very well, and has frustrated a lot of opponents, as you see in many of the games that have taken place. So the theme, or the idea behind this army, is to bury a select number of characters, a good number of characters in this list, to bury them in amongst hordes of infantry, and then to smite from behind that infantry screen, and to use the psychic powers mostly to cause damage and to grind the opponent down. So that's the idea. You'll see it happen a lot in games where there's a screen of infantry, all different types, light, medium, heavy infantry, and then the psychers operating from behind that screen. And then also, just to add in a bit of danger to the list as well, there's these rampaging Mauler Fiends moving around the table just to distract the opponent and just to disrupt and cause trouble to the opponent's battle line. So something else for them to deal with. You've got to deal with the Mauler Fiends, got to deal with the screens, and then try and get to the characters. So you'll often see I'm trying to keep the characters alive, these psychers alive, for as long as possible, and usually if they're all alive, or most of them are alive towards the end of a game, usually the Thousand Sons will be doing well. So that's the whole philosophy behind this list. There's no predators and heavy guns in this army. It's all putting the emphasis on the damage that can come mostly in the psychic phase, and from a bit of infantry firepower in the Mauler Fiends as well. So very different. I don't have any other army that operates that way, but I wanted a nice strong theme here, just to have something different to use and a different challenge, and it seems to have worked out well. So what we'll do in this video is we'll build the list up. I'll give you all the points values as well, and you're welcome to copy this list. People saying in the other videos that I've done, going to try the list out, going to copy the list and use it in their own games, so you're welcome to do that. You can take elements of this list for sure. Check out the end, or check out the comment section below for comments from other Thousand Sons players, to see what they say. If you're an experienced Thousand Sons player, to leave your own verdict on this list, things you'd add in, things you'd change. Be sure to check out the comments section below. So what we'll do is we'll go through the army here. I'm going to build the list up as we go along, starting with sort of the HQ choices, and then running through all of the units, and you'll get to see them here on the table. And then right at the end, we'll pull the whole army together. We'll zoom out and take a look at the whole force put together. So the structure for this army, seeing now the need for command points is so important. You get a nice lot of command points for your army. Double battalion seems to be the one to go for. So I've done that here for the Thousand Sons with a bit of chapter approved help. I've been able to go for a double battalion, battle forged, and also there's a spearhead in the list as well. So 14 command points in total, and then -1 for taking an extra relic. So 13 command points is the total for this list. So a nice lot of command points available. There's a nice lot of 1 command point stratagems available for the Thousand Sons. I may well spend an extra one here now with the Ritual of the Damned book. There's Magister. Use the stratagem before the battle after nominating your warlord. Select one Thousand Sons character model from your army that is not your warlord and determine 1 warlord trait for it. So that I may well make use of that just to gain some extra bonuses from that as well. But that's all. I've got a nice lot of command points. That's all open to experimenting and changing things around, and still keeping a nice lot of command points for the force. But 14 to start off with, and I reckon I'm going to take 2 relics, so 13, and then possibly spend a few more on extra warlords and so on. So I will mention this as well, just because it's the structure of the force. So I think the new rules here for the Thousand Sons are just fantastic. So you've got all these cults, 9 cults that you can choose from. This is open for discussion, and you can discuss it in the comments section below. But I've gone for the majority of my force, my 2 battalions at least, I've gone for Cult of Time. So that grants you the psychic powered time flux. I'll come back to these, and then I'm particularly interested in the Hourglass of Minette, that relic just there. But we'll come back to that as these units are revealed, because it will apply to specific units. So the list then, and I've also avoided getting Magnus. It's a bit predictable. I'm not too keen on the model. May well invest in getting him one day, but I may well get the model, but at this stage I've gone away from him and focused instead on smaller characters. Ahriman is in the list. I take him on a disc of Zinc. It's a fantastic model that Games Workshop have sculpted. So here he is, painted up like so, and he is in. Just a fantastic sorcerer to take for your army. He's not too bad in close combat. He's got 4 attacks, hitting on 2+. He's rerolling 1s. The staff fights at strength 6, AP -1 or 3 damage. So when I'm not going to rely on him in close combat, but it's especially when you combine him, charging him with other sorcerers with their force staves. He's not too bad in close combat, but that's not the primary focus. Mostly it's psychic powers. I reckon in this video I don't usually go through psychic powers, but it's so important for the Thousand Suns. I'll actually go through the psychic powers I've chosen for each of the psychers as well. What makes him a great psyker? It's add 1 to any psychic test or deny which test you take for Aramis. Everything's +1 all the time. It's very, very solid, very, very reliable. It's got 4+ invuln save. And then he can manifest 3 and deny 3 psychic powers. And he's got access to 2 disciplines, Discipline of Change and or the Dark Mechanicus discipline as well. So, yeah, incredible sorcerer here. His points cost is 166 points. But I think it's well worth it. The key for him, as with all of my Psyker HQs, is to keep him alive for as long as possible. And so the screens of infantry that I have, whether that's light infantry, hordes, or whether it's the heavy infantry, the key for them is to keep this Psyker alive. So he's able to kick out those psychic powers, Smite and all the other powers that he has, for as many turns as possible, just grinding the enemy down. So, psychic powers from him. I want his main focus to be kicking out mortal wounds, to make him a bit scary, where he's dishing out mortal wounds all over the place. So obviously Smite is 1 power, and I've gone for these 3. So the first is Infernal Gaze, so warp charge value of 5 or a 4 in his case. I want solid powers that are going off all the time. So enemy unit of an 18 or range 24 for Thousand Suns, and remember the Thousand Suns, they get +6 inches to any psychic power they manifest, so Smite comes in at 24 inches for these, and they also get the ability where Smite doesn't get harder to manifest each time it's used, so it's always going to be 5 to manifest it at whatever point it is during the psychic phase. So I wanted to harness that, to use that to my advantage and have as much Smite going on as possible. So you roll 3 dice, 4 pluses is mortal wounds, just the ability to kick out some more mortal wounds, and it's select an enemy unit. So the ability with that is it doesn't have to be the closest visible, it could be anyone, so you can try and pick out characters with that. Then the other one's Zinch's Firestorm from Discipline of Change. That one's Dark Hereticus from Infernal Gaze. Discipline of Change, a warp charge value of 7 or a 6 required. Again, a very reliable psychic power. Select an enemy unit within 18 and visible, and again it could be a character unit hidden away. So you imagine Infernal Gaze and then Zinch's Firestorm being cast against a character. You're rolling 9 dice, any 6s is a mortal wound. Sometimes you get 1 mortal wound, sometimes you get 4. So another nasty one, but every turn just kicking out these mortal wounds. And then I'm thinking, well, I've got a nice lot of mortal wounds coming through, so I've taken a power here, Death Hex, if I need it. It's warp charge value of 8, so I've put it on Airman because he's going to need a 7 with his +1. If manifested, select an enemy unit within 12 or range 18 of the Psyker visible to him. To the start of your next Psychic phase, that unit cannot take invuln saves. That could be quite crucial in a game, just to strip away an invuln from a unit that's nearby. So, decent powers there, and so I must resist losing him early in the game, doing something silly with him and put him out in danger. Must protect him, keep him safe, and just get those powers manifested for as many turns as possible. So that's the power combination with him. You can use, there's a strategy that lets you play an extra psychic power in a turn, so you can potentially manifest all 4 of these if he wants to as well. So I think turn 1, one turn of Araman's not really worth the points, but if it's every turn, he is potent for sure. So that's Araman and his powers. I'll move these cards away in just a moment, but we'll move on here. So next is the Demon Prince of Zinch. So I didn't want to go for the standard model that you could paint up, for any legion. I wanted something unique, and I'd always admired this model here. It's a Necro Sphinx. It's out of production. It was produced for the Tomb Kings for the old Warhammer system, but I mean, on a square base, I had to buy a 40k oval base here to match up with him, but I just think he fits in perfectly. Thousand Suns of the Egyptian sort of star and theme, and I thought he'd be great as a Demon Prince of Zinch. And what's great is that he's equipped with the Malefic Talons, a pair of them, so you can see that actually looks realistic there. And I've given him wings as well for war gear, and then look, wings on the back, so even visually looks great. It matches him perfectly. And then I've cut off a load of heads and skulls here from Blood Angels, just to put some trophies on his base here. and the damage that he can do. This is a nasty unit, this one here, this DM Prince. For 1000 Suns you can give him some pretty good enhancements. So this is quite a pivotal unit here and quite deadly in close combat. So this is one of the key units of the 1000 Suns. It's a large model, but he's 8 wounds, so he can be buried and hidden behind infantry units as well, which can drive opponents mad. This large model lumbering around, and it's going to take snipers to try and get to him, because your screening units are going to protect him. So that's one of the great advantages for him. Powers then, there's a lot loaded up on this guy. He's actually the Warlord, so there's a Warlord trait, and also a relic loaded on top of him as well. But the psychic powers then, obviously Smite can come from him. And the two that I usually go for, Gaze of Fate, it's from Discipline of Zinc, which he gets access to that, and Dark Hereticus. Gaze of Fate is warp charge value of 6, so quite easy to manifest this one. If manifested, you can reroll single dice later during your turn. So easy to manifest, and just a reroll, so it's going to save you a command point, and it could get you out of trouble. So because I've got a lot of psychic stuff, there's a good chance of getting a perils on a double 6 or a double 1. There is a new stratagem that lets you bypass that, costs a command point, but sometimes a command reroll can help you get out of that. So that's what the Gaze of Fate is for. Or it could be for a fouled invuln, so it's something crucial during the turn. But just a reroll, an easy one to manifest, and spare dice to reroll at some point. The other one for a bit of fun is Treason of Zinc. So warp charge value of 8. Select enemy character within 18 and visible, excluding the opponent's Warlord. Roll 2d6. If it's greater than the leadership's characteristic, you could treat the model as if it were a friendly model in the shooting, charge and fight phase. And then at the end of the fight phase it reverts to being an enemy model. If that goes off, it could just cause absolute chaos, and it's good fun. I've put that in because it's a good fun power, and to see the look on the opponent's face when you turn one of their HQ choices and convert them over to your side for a while, and then see them start attacking their own friendly models. So I like the idea of that. So a useful psychic powers for him. Then he's deadly in close combat. So you've got 4 attacks base here. You then get Hateful Assault now. So you're going to get an extra attack, 5 attacks there. The double set of Malefic Talons is 1 additional attack. A model equipped with 2 sets of Malefic Talons is 3 additional attacks. So you're looking at 8 attacks now with this model, 2s to hit. Rerolling 1s on top of that as well. It's an exceptionally reliable number of attacks coming through. And when they do hit, it's strength 7, -2. And it's 2 damage every time, so decent for cutting through vehicles, and then cutting through Primaris type models as well. So you can be utterly deadly in close combat. You can use things like Diabolic Strength on him, another psychic power that I have in the list, to give him an extra attack and to increase the strength as well. Because he's a DM Prince of Zinc, it's not a 5+ invuln save, but a 4+ invuln save, so that is excellent. 4+ to block damage coming through. So if he does charge into something that's quite nasty, he can, absorb and take the damage pretty good and block a lot of those hits coming through. To further enhance him, I give him, just look it up here. It's a Warlord trait from here. It's Otherworldly Presence, or Otherworldly Prescience here. Improve your Warlord's invuln save by 1 to a maximum of 3+. So he actually comes with a 3+ invuln save, which I think is very powerful. The amount of times an opponent's gone in with some very heavy weapons and then made a ton of 3+ invuln saves and it's blocked a lot of damage coming through. So solid enough. It's improved even more now because I give him a relic from the Cult of Time. It's the Hourglass of Minette. The first time this model with this relic is destroyed at the end of the phase, return that model to play with D3 wounds remaining. So there's no roll up. You're guaranteed to get the model back, whatever phase it is, placing it as close as possible to its previous position and more than 1 inch away from enemy models. So when he dies, because he's getting stuck into close combat and so on, he is picked on and does eventually go down. Well, now he comes back to life and it's guaranteed D3 wounds remaining. And what's great is that I have Temporal Manipulation as another psychic power in the list, and if that goes off, you're able to restore D3 wounds at a time, so you can actually bring him back to life and start adding the wounds back on top. So all in all, I think it's really good. 195 points now, 185 points with wings, then plus 10 points for the 2 Malefic Talons. But he's well worth it. Very, very durable, difficult to target, deadly in close combat, and a nice bit of psychic support as well. So that's the second HQ for this list. I'm going to take a little while going through the HQs, because this is the backbone, the key part of this Thousand Suns army. And if it's the HQs that perform well, then usually the Thousand Suns army does well. So that's those. That's 2 HQs. Then next is Exalted Sorcerers. So if you buy them from Games Workshop, they come in a box of 3. You get 3 in a box, and you can go for all sorts of combinations with them. Amazing models. So, you know, I wanted to use all the models in my list, so I have gone for 3 Exalted Sorcerers. 1, 2, and 3. Just using up all the models in the box. And that's another 3 HQ choices. That's 5 HQs. That's my HQs for the double battalion, then also the spearhead as well. I've given them some names here just to help me remember during battles. Just to easily remember who's who. So the guy on the disc with the flames, Disco Inferno. A lot of you are already familiar with these names here. The one with the chicken wing, I've called him Chicken Wing, or the orange feathers on his wing just there. And then the one with the beak, I've called Beaker. But it helps remember each of these, and to remember their psychic powers as well. And I think it was that box set there, just seeing the models painted up on that box set of models, that made me decide, yeah, I'm going to go for Thousand Suns, because they're incredible. They're beautiful, beautiful models that Games Workshop have put together. So really like them, and I'm glad to have all 3 of these featuring in the list. You can see now a lot of psychic stuff going on here, and so that was one of the reasons didn't go for Magnus in the end, because he can't hide, and he's going to get shot at and picked on. If he goes down, you've lost a ton of psychic ability, whereas now I've spread out my value. Here, the opponent's got to try and get to all of these characters, and they're all hidden away behind infantry screens. So that's a tactical reason for not choosing Magnus as well. So Exalted Sorcerers, their stat line is fantastic. They get 4 attacks, 5 attacks with Hateful Assault. It's a nice lot of attacks. They're at 2s to hit for their weapon skill. The staff makes them Strength 6, -1 and D3 damage. So they're actually pretty nasty in close combat. And if you start to combine them together, you charge 3 of them in to close combat, you're looking at a lot of attacks here. So, you know, D3 damage, they can cause trouble for sure. That's not the primary role for them, but they can stand up for themselves pretty good. They've got 5 wounds each as well, so superior to a regular sorcerer. They can manifest 2 psychic powers and deny 1. They all grant reroll 1s to Thousand Suns units within 6. So if I'm spreading these out in different parts of the army and getting those reroll 1s, helping out Mauler Fiend. Zangors, I think, get the reroll 1s. I'll just double check that actually. If they have the Thousand Suns keyword, then they do. Yep, they do. Rubric Marines, the Terminators, and so on. Cultists get it here, I think. Thousand Suns keyword, so I think they get that as well. Yeah, so granted reroll 1s to hit rolls. So yeah, if you've got a shooty army, it can help out with that, but primarily it's for close combat. They can assist their Thousand Suns brethren. So 2 of them are on foot. One of them, Disco, here's on the disc. So points wise, I give them all Warp Flame pistols here. So Warp Flame pistol, range 6, but it's pistol D6, strength 3, AP -2 though, and it's auto hits on the target. So pretty good. You can fire them in close combat. As long as I'll let them off and fire them to give you a bit of Overwatch protection as well, because it's auto hits, and also fire them into the enemy before you charge in. So I like the pistols. I think they're pretty good. And they come with 5+ invuln saves as well, and the disc means you can fly, so this one's the quick one. And usually I put Disco Inferno with the Mauler Fiends just to keep up with them and to aid them and guide them in to close combat. So 123 points for these 2. So yeah, expensive enough, so it's important to keep these alive. Then 143 points for the one on the disc. So it is very, very important I keep these alive. If I start losing multiple sorcerers during a game, you know, there's trouble for the Thousand Suns. You start losing all your psychic ability. And each one, remember, is Smite on a 5, and again, you're kicking out loads of mortal wounds. And you can maneuver these around to make sure you're focusing on the right target. If there's a vehicle, somewhere you could shift these across to make sure that the closest visible enemy unit is that vehicle, and you can multi-smite it and really grind the wounds down very quickly, and there's no toughness to roll against, no armor saves allowed, just going straight through, no invuln saves, just the mortal wounds just bypass all of that. So it's definitely a potency with that, and so I've tried to capitalise on it by going for these psychers. So just the psychic powers to cover on these. So remember, I've got 6 psychic powers for these ones here. Diabolic Strength goes on Disco Inferno, so that's going to give a Dark Hereticus Astartes, a Heretic Astartes model within 12 inches or 18 inches. You get +2 strength and +1 attack. Usually I try and grant that to a Mauler Fiend. I give that to Disco Inferno because he's with them. Prescience I give to Beaker. Doesn't matter really who gets these between these two. They're usually designed to hang around with the main infantry force. Prescience is +1 to the hit rolls. Sometimes handy to give to the Rubric Marines or Terminators, for shooting, +1 to the hit rolls. Or you can grant it to a Mauler Fiend nearby. It's range 24, so it's got a good reach on that one. Glamour of Zinc I give to Chicken Wing as well. That's -1 to the hit rolls to a 1000 Suns unit within 18. So again, a Mauler Fiend or my Rubric Marines if I'm trying to protect them, or Terminators, whatever it may be. So that's hit rolls for shooting and close combat. It's just helpful little psychic powers here. Weaver of Fates I give to Chicken Wing. That increases the invuln save. Again, useful for Mauler Fiends, bumping them up to a 4+ invuln save, or also giving it to the Rubric Marines or the Terminators just to bump up the invuln save for them. Warp Time, that's a Dark Heretic Astartes unit within 3 inches or 9 inches of the Psyker. They get to move again. So I can put that on Disco Inferno and usually try and give it to Mauler Fiends. So a 10-inch move followed by another 10-inch move. So you've got 20-inch range there plus the charge on top of that. So a good combo as he assists the Mauler Fiends. So then Temporal Manipulation here, I give that to Chicken Wing. Very useful one. It's Orc charge value of 6. It's quite easy to manifest this one. Select a friendly 1000 Suns unit within or 1000 Suns model within 12 inches or 18 inches. That model immediately heals D3 wounds. So helpful for repairing your own Psychers when they're suffering perils, taking D3 damage, or helpful putting wounds back onto the Mauler Fiends. And also this Dim Prince goes into close combat, takes some damage, he survives, he pulls away, you start to heal him back up again to fight again. So I love that power just there. And you see how this can all fall apart. I start losing these and then all these abilities start disappearing. So it's so important to keep these alive, not to do anything silly with them. The last one there is Doombolt. I usually give that to both the Terminator Aspiring Sorcerers and then also to the Rubric Marines Aspiring Sorcerer as well. It's Orc charge value of 9. I think it's been updated now to the value of 8. It's been FAQ'd. If manifested, select a unit within 18 or range 24. It's D3 mortal wounds and it's half the movement of that unit and it cannot advance. So useful. It's quite hard to make that go off, but if it does, it can cause a bit of trouble. So that's all the psychic powers. Look, there's loads of psychic powers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's a dozen psychic powers here for the 1000 Suns, but that's the backbone. That's the key part of this army here for this list. So yeah, that's the damage output. That's where it comes from, and it frustrates the opponent. It's difficult to deal with, but there's no apology for it. This is where the damage comes from. So the key now, I've got these HQ choices. The key is to try and keep them alive. So this is only part of it here. You can have some great HQs, but if they're not protected, then they're going to get destroyed. So this is where the 2 battalions come in, the infantry choices here to try and protect these Psychers. That's the key. I can do that with some heavy infantry and also some hordes units. The opponent's got to chew their way through these cheaper units. So moving through the codex. Yeah, unit of Rubric Marines. These took ages to paint, but I mean they are beautiful models. Games Workshop resculpting them in plastic. Utterly incredible. Box of 10. Fantastic models. So yeah, full tutorial on the Plus channel for these, how to paint the Rubric Marines. But I've gone for a full squad of 10. I don't split them down. Nice big squad of 10. They have some fantastic rules. Yeah, very different to other Chaos Legions. But I'll just lay them out here. And this is, I had to have these in the list. This is your classic 1000 Suns look the Rubric Marines just were a compulsory choice. And again, it was the artwork on the box, just utterly incredible. Really, really, really nice work. So there's 9. So we'll swap him out. Just put these in the right order. So total points for these, unit of 10. They're quite a presence on the battlefield. They're quite a solid unit. It's quite a lot of effort to remove these from play. They're a bit slow, so movement 5. So usually they just sort of slowly move around the table, just letting down some firepower with their bolters. Best situation is to keep them still, to sit them where they are, and they can get those double shots with the updated rules now for bolt weapons. 3-up save. They do come with a 5+ invuln save as well, which can be enhanced. And with some psychic powers and help, you know, if their job's to screen these, I can get +1 to their invuln saves, a 4+ invuln save, and give them -1 to the hit rolls as well. So all those things there to protect them. So sticking them in cover, giving them a 2+ armor save is fantastic. Also, they get all its dust. Add 1 to saving throws for Marines if the attack has a damage characteristic of 1. In addition, the -1 modified to hit rolls, moving and shooting heavy weapons does not apply. So taking a Soul Reaper cannon, you know, heavy weapon, it's not really affected if you move, which is great. And then AP -1, or the add 1 to saving throws if it's damage characteristic of 1. So that's excellent. You know, you get +1 to saving throws for that. Stick them in cover, you know, further +1 as well. So found them tough enough, and it is, you know, unit of 10 is quite a lot to remove them from play. I give a Warp Flame Pistol to the Aspiring Sorcerer and the Stave. It's a little bit of close combat ability just there, and obviously he's equipped, as I mentioned earlier, has the Doom Bolt psychic power. Total cost for the Rubric Marines is 181 points, so a bit of a bit of points being saved from chapter approved, kept them nicely below 200 points. So 181 points, nice solid heavier infantry unit here for the Thousand Sons. Their main job, usually find them in the centre of the army, providing a vital screen to a good number of the Exalted Sorcerers. That's the idea, just more of a solid unit to aid in protection, to lay down a blanket of firepower, especially anti-infantry, to clear away hordes and medium infantry as quick as possible. So they're slow, but I don't need them to be quick. Usually I place them in a central point on the table, and they'll be moving around or holding where they are, just letting down some supporting firepower. At this stage, I mentioned the second relic. I give it to Beaker. It could go on any of these apart from Airman. It's usually one of these two, Beaker or Chicken Wing. And I mention it now because it's relevant to the Rubric Marines here. So it is the Dark Matter Crystal. Once per battle, at the end of the movement phase, you can select the Bearer or a friendly Thousand Sons infantry unit within 12. So it could be these guys. Here, remove that unit from the battlefield and immediately deep strike it anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from enemy models. This does not count as falling back if the unit is within an inch of enemy units. So if I find myself in close combat, I can use that power, pull them out and deep strike back in. It doesn't count as movement, so they're going to get their firepower, even though they've gone away from the close combat. Or I just need to relocate somewhere. They're a bit slow, it's going to take them ages to move to the other side of the table, but I can just relocate them quickly with the Dark Matter Crystal. So a useful relic, especially for a unit like this. So, you know, one of those will carry it and they'll be nearby, and if the point comes they need to relocate, then I can move them off. I can webway infiltrate them. I can put them into deep strike for a command point as well, so that's another option for those. So there's a few options available for that unit, but they are fantastic. But the way I painted these was to spray them in gold. So Retributor armor is what I used, and then filled in the blue, and then put my washes over the top. And that's all explained in the paint tutorial, but it actually worked out quite well. The gold was done quite quickly, and then just focused in on the blue and the yellow. It's a nice colour to put. That gold, actually, you can put colours like yellow and red and green, and the tunics here as well. That paint goes on nicely onto gold. It's a good starting colour. And then the bases are sprayed in brown. That's all covered in the videos as well. But there they are. Now, my army's going to get there's already quite a lot of points being spent on HQs, and I couldn't really go for loads of units of these. I need to bulk the army out. I need lots of infantry. So I've then gone for cheaper troops choices here. Remember, I've only got one. I need 5 more to make this work here for the double battalion. So I've gone for units of Zangors. So this will really start to bulk the army out here. So units of 10, and again, I love the models. Really love the models. If you buy them for 40k, they do come with auto pistol, bolt pistol, auto pistol and chainsword option. And then I kept some of the Age of Sigmar sword and shield options as well, just to make them a bit different. So it doesn't really, just like the look of it. And the ones with the big axes I make as the Twist Bray, the squad leader. So that's one unit of 10. I'll put the other 2 units out here. So there they are. You can immediately see the army's bulked out nice. I've just shifted the HQs over to the side here. 3 units of 10. Some people said you go for bigger units and so on, but I like the versatility here. Morale is also an issue. Don't have a huge blob of them, and then problems with morale if I take loads of casualties and start losing even more models. So units of 10 seems to work just fine. Yes, they're not as tough as these, but if they get blown away, they're 80 points a unit. It's 80, 80, and 80. So it's no big deal if they are destroyed. It's just 80 points that are gone. But you can see how they bulk the army out. Now the opponent's got to try and get through these. They are toughness 4. 6 up save, but they have a 5+ invuln save. So they're able to get that invuln save against most attacks that come in. I don't pay for any other upgrades. You can reroll out hit rolls in the fight phase when you target a character. As the options then, you go for chainsaw and auto pistol. I couldn't see the point of the pistols really, so I've gone for the Zangor blades. Gets you the extra attack, but what's helpful here is the AP -1, just to knock the edge off a target's armor save. So if they do charge in against Space Marines, you're going to knock the armor save down from a 3+ down to 4+. That seems to help quite nicely. Then you get 1 attack each, but they are getting the extra attack there for the Zangor blades. So 2 attacks each. You know, that's going to be 20 attacks, 21 attacks with the additional attack for the Twist Bray. So they can get reroll 1s for help from the sorcerers. They don't get hateful assault though. It's not going to get that extra attack, which is a shame, but it sort of makes sense that they don't get it. But there they are. They're such a crazy looking unit, and again, it's unique to the Thousand Sons. You're only going to get them in a Thousand Sons army, and that's what I liked about choosing the Thousand Sons. You could just create something that's totally different to any other Chaos Legion, and looking entirely different to anything that the Space Marines would have. And so that was one of the draws for going for the Thousand Sons. There is actually a third painting tutorial on the Plus channel, actually, because these are quite difficult to paint and took a while. I actually did a painting tutorial for the Zangors also, so that's available on the Plus channel as well. So nice broad options, nice broad coverage for painting tutorials for the Thousand Sons over on the Plus channel. So that's those 3. That's given me 4 troops choices. This is what I was struggling with for the structure of the army, but now Chapter Proof 2019's come along. I've been able to squeeze in 2 more troops choices just to bulk up my hordes, and that is these guys here. It's Chaos Cultists, and again, I didn't want to use your standard Chaos Cultists models, so what I've taken here is these Acolytes here that are available for Age of Sigmar, and they've cut. The only thing is the base sizes. You know, true size for Chaos Cultists is the smaller base size, but other than that, I think these fit in perfectly. And what I've done with these, again, it's very Zinc feel to them. I definitely wanted that, so very happy at using these models. Check out Age of Sigmar. It's the Acolytes, it's Zinc Acolytes. You can get a box, and very efficient as well. I wanted 2 units of 10, and they come in a box of 20. Fantastic, with 2 HQ sort of lit squad leader models as well. So really happy about that. It's very efficient the way that's worked out. Then what I did was I took from the Zangor box set that comes with the auto pistols and chain swords. If you look at the hands going all the way up to the elbow, it's very human. So I was able to cut off, not on all of them, didn't want to do all of them because I like the swords and shields and the unique weapons on here, but I was able to put auto pistols and chain swords and cut and stick them on to some of these Acolyte models here, and they've worked just fine. A lot of the times I've cut them off at the elbow for the auto pistol and stuck them on, and then for the chain swords I've stuck those on just at the wrist just there, and they've stuck on just great. So that's a conversion just there, easy to do, and you immediately bring it into the 40k realm when you put a few models with those war gear options on them. But really happy with how they've come out. So now I've got some very nice Zinc themed Chaos Cultists, and they're brilliant models. I mean, they're fantastic models for sure. So really happy with that, the way they turned out. So Chaos Cultists, their job's just a screen, throwaway unit. They're even cheaper than Zangors. Cost for those is 40 points a unit. So it's just, if they wiped out, it's literally just 40 points down the drain. So no real loss. They look a lot more in value than what they are. Just 40 points for them. I've found that it's helped free up the Zangors. The Zangors can push ahead a bit more aggressively, a bit more potent in close combat. These can anchor at the back, holding objectives, providing screens. I can wrap them around my sorcerers, another unit for the opponent to try and get through. If you're worried about deep strikers coming in, you can use them quite crucially actually for area denial without sapping the strength from your forward units. And then also if you're worried about deep strike coming in, you can form circles, screens around your psychers and the dim prints and so on. Or I can screen and surround my heavy infantry units. So put a screen of cultists in front to protect the more valuable units from being contacted in close combat. And look at it, it bulks the army out now. It's got nice blocks now. That's 60 infantry models now, just with that 80 points extra being spent. So I'm super happy about that. I'm really happy with the way that's turned out, and I've kept the Zinc sort of theme going all the way across here. And I've got these levels of infantry here as well. You've got the lowest here with the Acolytes, then the Zangors, a bit more valuable, and then the heavier stuff just here. And now the opponent's got to chew through all of this stuff to then try and get through to the more valuable Psychers. The army's bulked out nicely here, so I've got a slower ground force, but it's providing that important hordes ability and that screening ability, and then you've got these elite Psychers just here. So in and of itself, that's okay. The damage is all right, but I need a bit more damage potential here. So I've been able to spend out on some elite units and these deadly Mauler Fiends as well. So we'll just come to it in the order in the book then. So we've fulfilled the structure of the army here. We've got the double battalion, fulfilled all the HQ choices and all the troops choices that are required. Next then, Scarab Occult Terminators. I'm going to stick to 2 units of 5. So I'll just pull this back and we'll just stick them along here. And again, this is one of the units, you know, visually very Thousand Sons themed. I really wanted them in the list. So because they're one of the resculpts that Games Workshop have done. Beautiful models for sure. So 2 units of 5. 1 unit just there. And 1 unit here. Like so. Again, these took a good while to paint. You know, be prepared. These kind of units do take a good while to paint up, but you know, visually, it's well worth it. And really, I only painted 10 of them, so it's not too bad. You know that you're not having to paint 30 of them. You know, it's going to get a bit despairing after a while. But 2 units of 5, and that's giving you 2 decent elite units. These took points reductions here as well. So points cost for the Terminators. The loadout's the same for both. 2 units of 5, a Force Stave on each of the aspiring sorcerers, a Soul Reaper cannon, and then a Hellfry missile rack on each unit. Power swords on 4 of them, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 of the Inferno combi bolters as well. Total points for that. For each of those units is 187 points. Used to be well over 200, but Chapter Proofs reduced them down. So 187 points per unit. Doombolt is a psychic power for each of them. So the Terminators then, what I found with these is, yes, they're tough enough. 2 up save, 2 wounds each, and they also have the All is Dust rule to keep that 2+ armor save, 5+ invuln save available as well. But they do get shot at by the opponent. The opponent will target these well above these other infantry units here, and so you can find them disappearing, despite their toughness, disappearing quite quickly. So the way to try and protect them for that is to deep strike them in. So teleport strike, I usually deep strike these in. It means that I can land and then let off my firepower with, you know, the whole unit being there instead of being whittled down and their firepower reduced. So the Hellfire Missile Axe is pretty good against heavier targets. Heavy 2, there's no -2 hit rolls when you're moving with these. Heavy 2, strength 8, -2 D3 damage. You can pick up some wounds against a vehicle or a monster. The Soul Reaper Cannon, the heavy 4, strength 5, -3, 1 damage. And then the Inferno Combi Bolters, rapid fire 2, it's 2 shots each, range 12, 4 shots each. Because they're Terminators though, with the bolt weapon rules now, range 24, they're getting 4 shots each. You're able to let off a lot of Dakka with these, and you get, there is a stratagem. If you're able to keep them still, Infernal Fusillade is for a unit of Rubric Marines or Scarab Occult Terminators. If you remain stationary in your shooting, if you remain stationary, you can fire twice with rapid fire weapons. That's incredible. So, able to let out a lot of firepower here. So the great thing about these, they're Inferno Combi Bolters, AP -2, AP -3 on the Soul Reaper Cannon, AP -2 on the Hellfire Missile Rack. So they're deadly against, you know, guardsmen. Just cut them down and deny their armor save. Regular Marines, you know, AP -2 is pretty significant against them as well. So good against clearing light and medium infantry for sure. Just loads of shots just to clear their way through those kind of targets. But to be effective, I need to keep them alive, and so I try and keep them out of trouble for a good while during the game. Until I'm able to reduce the opponent's ability down a little bit, and these can come in and try and land, make an impact, and then stay alive for as long as possible. What's great now, here we'll discuss it at this point, the Cult of Time. So Psychic Power, the way this works is you choose your cult. So yeah, it says here, Psychic Powers. All Thousand Sons Cult Psychers, so I've chosen Cult of Time for the 2 battalions. They're in that, either of those battalions, those Terminators, so they get the Cult Warlord trait, the Relic, and then the Psychic Power here. So Cult of Time, it means all my Psychers get it. Ahriman doesn't, he's a named character, but the 3 Exalted Sorcerers do, so they can use it. The Demon Prince can use it, and the Sorcerers available in the Rubric Marines squad and also the Terminator squads get it as well. I think it's given to a Psyker, yes, as long as you've got the Psyker keyword, which they have, just those models there. But this is the one here, Time Flux. Warp charge value of 5. It's very easy to manifest this one, which is excellent. If manifested, select one Cult of Time infantry unit within 6. So it could be its own parent unit, or another unit nearby. You can return 1 destroyed model from that unit to the battlefield with all of its wounds remaining. So particularly helpful for Terminators. You've lost a model and you're able to restore it back again very easily. If you score 9 or more, it's D3 models being restored with all of their wounds remaining. So you take it, the unit of Terminators that's been busted, you've just got him left, all of a sudden you could restore 3 of them back to play, and you've actually got a full strength unit back again. So you drive your opponent mad with that one. But the ability to resurrect models, but very, very fluffy, you know, for the theme of Thousand Sons, you know, rising up out of the dust and so on, and models returning to play, it fits nicely. So I love that one. It's specifically really helpful for the Terminators and also the Rubric Marines also. So they all know that Psychic Power in addition to all the other Psychic Powers. It's not going to affect the other Psychic Powers that we've gone through earlier on. It's just known in addition as well. So that's excellent the way it doesn't disrupt that also. So Terminators are in. But because they're a priority target, I usually try and keep them off the table till turn 2, turn 3, and then they can land in a specific area just to lay down a blanket of firepower. But their firepower is pretty good. Nice blanket of firepower available from them. So what I'm trying to do is, the opponent may be trying to use infantry screens to protect vehicles because they don't want to avoid Smite, so their job's to clear the screens out of the way. They're equipped for dealing with infantry, get those screens cleared, and then start smiting the heavier targets. So they're working in tandem with each other. So next, this army's not too fast at this point, so I needed a bit of speed and a bit of a distraction for the opponent as well. So I've added another level to this army, and that's the threat that can come in close combat. A lot of Thousand Sons players, they'll go for support from the back, you know, with predators and so on, but I wanted to go for aggressive units that can tear stuff up and shred things to pieces, so it's smaller things I've gone for. So, I used to run 2, I'm able to run 3 of them now. And no regrets really, they are beasts for sure. So, they're here, we'll see them all when we zoom out, but there's 1, 2, 3 more fiends. So now I've got these huge vehicles. This one, I added a bit of spare bits. There's actually spare parts from a Blood Angels Terminator kit, just smashed to pieces. You know, what has torn this thing to shreds? Just balled it over and torn it up to pieces. Well, the Mauler Fiends smashed it up. So it looked like quite cool, because I don't want to paint 3 models in exactly the same pose, so I've mixed up the bases a bit. This one here, put it on top of some rocks just to change the pose around a bit on that as well. I've magnetised these if we decide to change the loadout on that, but the Lasher Tendrils I've gone for on all 3. The points value for those now is they're 122 points each. It's ridiculous. They're a complete bargain to go for. They're quite difficult to kill. They have 12 wins each, which is excellent. They're Toughness 7, and they do have the 5+ Invuln save. It's the amount of times you get a las cannon hit come through and then you just roll a 5+ and just block it, which is very, very useful. They also have Infernal Regeneration. So at the beginning of each of your turns you heal a wound automatically. So just at the start of my turn I'm just adding wounds back onto these if any damage has been taken. That's very, very useful as well. If your opponent fails to destroy the target, then you just add in wounds on top. And their top bracket, they're movement 10, so they're quick enough. Strength 6 when they fight, and 4 attacks. So then if you're adding in Hateful Assault, that's 5 attacks. With the Mauler Fiend Fists, you're fighting at ×2, so strength 6 alright, but double it, strength 12, AP -3, and 3 damage guaranteed. And then the Lasher Tendrils I take on them, which is an extra 12 points, so it makes them 110 points, you pay 0 for the fists, 12 points to Lasher Tendrils, 122 points a model. And that gives you an extra 6 attacks with the Lasher Tendrils, and that's at strength 6, AP -2, and 2 damage. So great for charging into Primaris, Marines, or into vehicles you're trying to pick up the wounds. Diabolic Strength's a great one. The Lasher Tendrils become strength 8 then. You're getting an extra attack as well, and the strength for your Mauler Fiend Fists becomes strength 16. Yeah, strength 8 times 2, strength 16. So you're getting those 2s to wound against the vast majority of targets as well. So, you know, a bit of psychic help. Remember, there's psychic powers where I can play temporal manipulation on restoring wounds. I can play one where it gives you -1 to hit rolls against them, +1 to the invuln save, +1 to the hit rolls against them. So if I've got one Mauler Fiend, that's the one that's closest, the one I've lined up to charge in, I can add all those enhancements on top to help it out. Then as well, I'll share all the Tactica with you. You can really make them quite potent with the help of some cheap stratagems as well. Veterans of the Long War, by the way, is a great one when you're shooting. +1 to the wound rolls. Fantastic for your infantry squads. But I'm looking for... Yeah, Demon Forge. It's 1 command point. Use a stratagem in the shooting or fight phase for Thousand Sons Demon Vehicle. It's reroll failed hit rolls and wound rolls. I mean, utterly incredible. And it does help these because Mauler Fiends are on a weapon skill of 4+. Thankfully it doesn't drop if you take damage, but forced hit isn't that great. It's not very reliable. 3s is much better if you're able to get that psychic power off, but the ability to reroll makes a massive difference. So Demon Forge, if I can, I'll always try and use that. Just try and make them more reliable. So Demon Forge is one that's well worth going for. And then Warp Flame Gargoyles, sometimes that's where you charge in, and nearby units 4+ to give them mortal wounds is quite useful as well. Yep, so you'll notice that during games me try and enhance the Mauler Fiend just to make it as efficient as possible. So that is the list. If you total all those points together, so I'll just summarise it here for you. Ahriman at 166 points, Dim Prince 195 points, The Rubric Marines at 181. The Exalted Sorcerer on a disc for 143. The other two on foot for 123 each. The Zangors at 80, 3 lots of them. The Cultists at 40 points a squad with the auto pistols and chainswords. And then the Scarab Occult Terminators 187 points per unit. And then the Mauler Fiends at 122 points each, 3 of them. That gives me a total of 1991 points. There's 9 points spare. Well, maybe quite fitting for Thousand Suns. 9 points. 9 is their number. Maybe I can add on an Icon of Flame maybe here for 5 points, something like that. So I can use up those points. There's one other thing I want to cover. What I've been thinking of doing, I may well do it. It's Cult of Magic. So I have a Spearhead detachment, and that's made up of Disco Inferno, so he's the HQ, and the 3 Mauler Fiends, and I've got my eye on this here to maybe go to this cult here for this. So I'll run through these, see what you think. Psychic Power, Astral Blast, it's a war charge value of 6, so he'll take that. And remember, that's in addition to the other powers that he has. If manifested, closest enemy unit within 9. Remember, he's playing quite aggressive, so he's the one that's going to be quite close to the enemy potentially. And it closest enemy unit within 9, but if that's manifested 1,000 Suns, that's range 15. Of invisible to the psyker suffers D3 mortal wounds. It's a bit like Smite, but each other unit within 3 inches of that unit suffers a mortal wound. Brotherhood of Sorcerer's ability only increases the first range of this psychic power yet, so it does increase that to range 15, but it doesn't then make the second range their range 9. It's still range 3. But that's quite potent. So there's that one. I could then pay here for use a command point for Magister and take an extra Warlord trait and give him a Warlord trait even though he's not the Warlord. When this Warlord manifests a psychic power that inflicts 1 or more mortal wounds on the enemy unit, increase the mortal wounds inflicted by 1. So, you know, D3 plus 1 on Smite, D3 plus 1 on Astral Blast. Yeah, that's pretty good. That is pretty good, actually. And then the extra relic, I'd have to pay an extra 2 command points for it, but when a psychic test is taken from model this relic, you add 1 to the total. So +1 on all your psychic tests. That could be worth it, maybe, just to make him really good, but that's makes him a lot more potent. Because I've got a lot of psychics now that are able to manifest from the Cult of Time. So to try something else out, I could go for Cult of Magic with him. I think that is well worth doing. So I'll tuck him just next to the Mauler Fiends. But that's the list here. I've gone through all the tactics, sort of justifying all my choices. You've got the theme that's going on. We'll zoom out now and you can take a look at the whole army setup. Alright, so that's the list laid out then. You can just get a good idea of how it looks now, the whole army laid out. So the key then is this screen of infantry, a mixture of hordes, cheap stuff the opponent's going to try and spend their time getting through. Then the heavy infantry, the Rubric Marines just here. Usually you'll find them in the heart of the army, protecting the sorcerers on foot, these 2. The Terminators I can bring in to bolster the infantry line or to land behind enemy lines, just to lay down a blanket of firepower, so tactically very useful. There's Airman as well, another psyker to float around nice and quick. 12-inch move with him on the disc. So too Disco Inferno. He's on the disc to keep up with the Mauler Fiends. Usually trying to send in one of those really enhanced and warp timing it up the table, and then just rolling the others in. A bit of nasty close combat ability available from them, and a vital distraction for the opponent to try and deal with. And then also this Doom Prince here, 3+ Invuln save. If he dies, he gets back up. 8 attacks on the charge, or if he is charged. So very, very nasty in close combat. So it's quite unique here for the Thousand Suns. No heavy guns in here, no las cannons and auto cannons and so on. That's all missing. Yeah, it's close combat, screens, and then the damage that can come from the psychic phase. It's worked quite well here for the Thousand Suns in the game so far, and it's just something unique. I wanted to go for something really unique with these, just to create a challenge in games and to bring something different to the table. So that's the list. I hope you like it. If you like the way this army's been painted out, you want to copy the paint scheme, then check out the Plus channel. There's 3 painting tutorials there. One for the Rubric Marines, one for the Zangors, and one for the Mauler Fiends as well. Just one of the larger projects to paint up. On that I cover the painting style for all of those, which you can apply to the entire army. I cover how to do the basing as well, is all covered on those videos. But there it is. Keep a lookout for the Thousand Suns in action. I really enjoy using these in games. There's something totally different, and it's been very enjoyable to use them in our battle reports. But that's the video. Keep a lookout for more complete army videos on the way as I finish different armies off, and keep a lookout for Thousand Suns battles coming in the future. That's the complete army video. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.